Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to get super precise with our writing by zooming in on two tiny punctuation marks that pack a huge punch: quotation marks and apostrophes. You know, getting these right can be the difference between your writing being crystal clear and just plain confusing. So let's dive right in.
We've all been there, right? You're trying to remember something important someone told you, and getting the exact words is crucial. Well, this question gets right to the heart of what our first punctuation mark is all about.
So let's kick things off with the number one job of quotation marks, which is, you guessed it, capturing the exact words someone said.
Okay, so here's the official breakdown. The most important thing to remember is that quotation marks are a team. They always come in a pair. Just think of them like a little fence. You put one at the beginning and one at the end to trap the precise words someone spoke, separating them from the rest of the sentence.
Let's look at a quick example. Here's Michael. He said, "I'd love some ice cream." We know those are his exact words because they're tucked neatly inside those double quotation marks. See? Simple, clean, and totally clear.
But what if you don't want to quote the whole sentence? No problem. Look at Lena's response here. We're just pulling out the key phrase, "always up for ice cream," and weaving it right into our own sentence. This shows that you only put the actual words spoken inside the marks.
Now, this is a really important distinction. On the left, we have a direct quote, Michael's exact words, so they need quotation marks. But on the right, we're paraphrasing. We're just sharing the idea of what he said. And when you do that, you don't use quotation marks at all.
So, quotation marks are for quotes. Got it. But turns out they have a few other cool specialized jobs. Let's look at some of these little twists.
Sometimes you'll use a word that might be new, or maybe it's a technical term or from another language. Putting gelato in quotes here is like a little flag for the reader that says, hey, pay attention to this specific word, it might be unfamiliar.
And this one is my favorite. You can use quotation marks to show a little bit of sarcasm or irony. By putting ice cream in quotes, the writer is basically saying it was so-called ice cream. It's a clever way to distance yourself from the word. These are often called scare quotes.
So what happens if you need to quote someone who is already quoting something? It sounds tricky, but it's not. You just use single quotation marks for the quote on the inside. So here, the main quote gets the double marks, and the word gelato inside it gets the single ones. Keeps everything nice and tidy.
Okay, that little single quote mark we just saw has a twin. An imposter, really. One that looks exactly the same, but has a totally different job. And it causes so much confusion. It's time to meet the apostrophe.
This slide right here is absolutely critical. On the left, you've got the single quote mark, which, remember, usually works in a pair. On the right, you have the apostrophe. Looks the same, right? But its job is completely different. And, this is key, it almost always works alone.
Let's just hammer this point home, because it's that important. The apostrophe is a lone wolf. It does its job solo. You will never see a pair of apostrophes used to fence off a word like you do with quotation marks. Ever.
So if this lone wolf isn't quoting anyone, what does it do? Well, it has two very important jobs in our language. Let's break them down.
First up, showing possession. Basically, showing who owns what. Whose ice cream is it? It's Lena's. Whose window? The ice cream shop's. That little apostrophe S is a signal that tells us something belongs to someone or something.
And the apostrophe's second big job is making contractions. A contraction is just when we get a little lazy with our speech and squish two words into one. The apostrophe's job is to pop in and take the place of whatever letters we kicked out. So, it is becomes its, there is becomes theirs, and so on. Okay, so we've got the rules down. But why does mastering all this little stuff actually matter in the real world? Well, it all comes down to the tone you want to create in your writing.
And this really shows you how it works. Since contractions like its and theirs are how we naturally talk, using them in your writing makes it feel more friendly and conversational. That's great for an email or a text, but for something more serious, like a research paper or a job application, you'll want to spell those words out to sound more formal and professional.
So let's wrap up our little story with a sentence that pulls a few of these ideas together. We've got a contraction, its, and we have our special term, gelato, in quotes. It's a perfect little snapshot of how these tiny marks work together to add layers of meaning. So here it is, your punctuation toolkit, nice and simple. Double quotes are for someone's exact words. Single quotes are for a quote within a quote. And the apostrophe, our lone wolf, is for showing who owns something or for making contractions. That's pretty much it.
So now you have the rules, and the power to make your writing that much more precise is in your hands. The next time you're typing something out, just think about how these little marks can add power, personality, and, most importantly, clarity to your message. That's all for now.